Hello, and good morning, good evening, good whatever time it is that you are choosing to take a look at this. I just first, as one of your classmates and peers in Capstone 3, wanted to thank you for taking a look at and listening to this presentation that I'm giving about a policy brief with recommendations made to ASU, Arizona State University, regarding paid gender inclusive parental leave in the workplace. This presentation and policy brief was originally done by myself, John Collins, Julianne Cooley, Justin Huft, Chloe Swanson, and Dale Vaughn. I have also edited this presentation to include feedback provided from Capstone 2 as well as with my own personal touch. This is a subject that is very important to me, both personally and professionally. So just a little bit about me. Again, my name is John Collins, and I am currently serving as a chaplain in a local hospital, and I also serve as clergy in the Episcopal Church. Family issues are very important to me because I do believe that every family should have the ability to provide for themselves and to support themselves, and that having a child through birth or adoption should not be an impediment to that. It is also very personal to me that this be based on a policy that is inclusive of all genders, because I myself am married to my same-sex partner, and I know that if we ever decide to have children, that I would like both of us to be able to be protected by the law, to take time and to care for our families. So again, thank you for viewing this presentation, and I do hope that it is informative, and I look forward very much to your feedback and to any questions as well as recommendations that you may have for me. So again, thank you. So a little introduction into paid family leave, why it's important to me, why it was important to our group, and why I think it's important overall. So in the United States currently, there is no law that mandates paid parental family leave on the national, that is federal level. There may be state or municipal decisions that require some form of paid family leave. On the federal level, there is not. The US currently only allows for up to 12 weeks of unpaid family leave through the Family Medical Leave Act, or the FMLA. While this is a good thing that we have that, the difficulty and the injustice lies in that not every family, not every person is able to take unpaid time off. This could be that a family depends on both parental partners to make ends meet and to provide for the family. This could also mean that this is a single parent home and they cannot afford to take time off. This could mean that this is a provider in a family, a primary care provider, who maybe acts as a secondary care provider for others, and so supports a larger family than simply what we think of as the nuclear family. And so not having access to paid family leave is an impediment to many families to being able to get ahead and to have just access to the resources that should be available to them. It can also cause a lapse in employment, and that can be a problem with ensuring that there is diversity in the workplace. So that's why this is important, and the focus in this particular policy brief will be on research and information that help to guide us to making specific recommendations for ASU. As I said, this is going to be focusing on paid parental leave for ASU. ASU does have a policy, and actually ASU has been in the process of updating their policy. And so the situation is changing, but these recommendations and information will be based on information that we had when we first began our capstone. We took a look at the gender pay gap and gender inequality first to really help us to get a sense and an idea of why this is important and why we should be bringing this to the attention of ASU. Why should the audience listen to us? Well, the gender pay gap is tied to gender inequality, and research has shown that the biases and the traditional expectations for gender roles in the United States contribute to the gender pay gap by decreasing the amount of time that women can spend in the workforce, because they are either pressured by a company to leave when they are taking care of a family, or perhaps their family systems and their cultural norms pressure them to leave because they are expected to be the domestic workers in the division of labor. Meanwhile, the division of labor has generally empowered men, not always, but generally empowered men to pursue a career and to be considered the primary breadwinners of their families. This also has implications for other families as well, regardless of gender, as perhaps same-sex spouses may also be excluded due to society's traditional expectations for gender norms. The focus is also going to be a bit on improving employer and employee relationships. Employees, of course, certainly benefit because they will be receiving paid compensation for taking that paid family leave. However, this also benefits the employers and their relationship with the employee because employees will see that the employers truly care about their well-being, and this will instill a sense of loyalty to the company and will therefore reduce turnover rates and allow employers to invest into the talented and skillful and trained employees they have rather than spending money and resources on hiring and training processes. The research that we found has also shown that paid family leave promotes and increases gender diversity in the workplace. It promotes inclusion of people of different genders in the workplace. When people have paid family leave, they do not have to quit their jobs if their 12 weeks of unpaid family leave runs out. They can use paid family leave in addition to the FMLA. So they are able to take that paid time and they can also take additional unpaid time. And so there does not have to be a lapse in employment if they need more than their allotted 12 weeks. And by not having a lapse in employment, women are able to continue in their professions and to build on their careers. And again, people of all genders can continue to be in their careers and build on their achievements rather than having a lapse in employment. So gender inequality and parental leave. Gender equality and parental leave are intrinsically linked because of what I stated before and because of the research that shows that when paid parental leave is in place, there is a reduction of the gender representation gap. Again, the research shows that this is because people are able to return to work rather than having to leave work for long term, and they are actually paid while doing it. This also means that more mothers are able to continue working, and so there are more working mothers in the workplace. And this contributes to a decrease in the pay difference. In other words, this helps to close the gender pay gap because women are able to continue working without having to cease their time of employment, and therefore they don't lose any benefit or any eligibility for a raise that they might lose if they had to leave, and which a man might not lose if a man does not leave to go on parental leave. And so this helps to take away some of the disadvantages that are faced by women and gender minorities in the workplace. So here on this slide, we have a map that asks an important question. How many weeks do other nations provide compared to the US? One thing that we wanted to do when making our presentation to the audience at ASU was to really show why this is an important issue. You see, ASU has been ranked number 1 in the top most innovative universities in the world. And this number 1 top ranking is really because ASU is on the cutting edge. ASU is ahead of the curve on many issues, and to remain competitive, we are recommending some changes so that ASU can continue to be on the cutting edge, and to say that even in the United States, ASU can compete with the best and most talented in all the countries of the world, because we are in an increasingly global marketplace. So in this map, again, how many weeks do other nations provide compared to the US? Now the weeks in this map are based off of the initial paid parental leave. For example, other countries actually offer additional paid time beyond these weeks, but these are the weeks that are specifically applying to maternity leave. So this does not necessarily include paternity leave, but this gives us an idea of where countries stand on maternity leave. As we can see on the higher end, Canada offers 50 weeks of specifically paid maternity leave. And on the other side, we see that Mexico, South Africa, and Pakistan offer 12 weeks. So we see here a list of countries of diverse socioeconomic rankings in the world that offer between 12 to 50 weeks of paid maternity leave. And again, as we will see later, some of these countries actually offer additional time. And you can see in the corner on the left that the United States is at 0. The United States does not require any paid family leave. So that's why we think this is important for ASU to remain competitive and for ASU to continue to be a leader in the world. Okay, so having looked at that map and having seen how the US compares at 0 weeks to other countries around the world, countries of diverse socioeconomic rankings, here we wanted to provide another glimpse of where we are. So in the chart on the left, you will see that the US only right now requires and offers the benefit of 12 weeks of unpaid leave for parents who are primary caregivers who just had children. And that is again under FMLA. The United Nations recommends 14 weeks, at least 14 weeks of paid family leave. And most of the countries on the previous map were close to that. Most were at 14 weeks or above, and those that were not were close at 12 weeks of paid family leave. And in the third bar on the bottom, you can see Germany. And Germany is one of the ones that actually offers additional leave. So Germany offers 14 weeks of specifically maternity leave, but also offers more than 40 weeks of additional paid leave. And another benefit, which you can see in the yellow, is that after the primary caregiver has exhausted their paid leave, Germany offers additional leave, including paid leave, to the secondary caregiver. So that is good information to inform us about where we are going to start and what have other people done, what is the standard. And so here we can see that we have a place to begin when making our recommendations. On the right in the chart there, you will see that the United States is one of 4 countries in the world that does not guarantee paid maternity leave. The reason that we included this chart is just to further emphasize that to be competitive in our increasingly global marketplace, organizations like ASU are going to have to offer benefits in order to continue to attract and retain the best and the brightest. So what are the benefits for employers and for employees? There really are benefits for both. I think it's easy to see the benefits for the employees, and it may be more difficult from an employer's perspective to start to think about the benefits. After all, you will, as an employer, will be paying more money. But the research has shown that employers actually do benefit because employees are healthier, they are returning to work energized, and they have a greater sense of loyalty. And we will see that on some of the next slides. So here on this slide, we will take a look at benefits for the employees. For employees, research has found that paid family leave provides for the promotion of healthier parent and child bonding and relationships. Parents are able to spend more time nurturing their young children who they have either welcomed through birth or through adoption. And in the case of adoption, this helps with bonding with children of any age who may be adopted. Paid family leave, by having the primary caregiver able to spend more time at home, improves the health of infants and young children. They are receiving more stimulation and they are connecting more to the person who is providing the most nurturing to them. Another benefit is psychosocial. It reduces the risk of anxiety, and it also helps to reduce depression among parents. And this was found in the research to be especially true for mothers who experience postpartum depression. The research found that mothers were less likely to experience postpartum depression if they had the security of paid family leave. It may be more difficult to see the benefits for the employers, but having more women in the workforce is a good thing. Women bring their talents and their abilities, and that helps to strengthen the workforce because employers are not only able to attract the talent of men, but they are also able to double the number of people that they can appeal to by offering positions and hiring more women. This also gives employers a hiring advantage. As other slides may have shown, this is a competitive global market, and qualified, talented people want to know that they will have benefits, that they will have the ability to care for their families when something like a birth or an adoption arises. The research in the source cited here found that paid family leave actually increased productivity. When people return to work refreshed and having processed the family changes that they were experiencing at home, that actually decreased stress and therefore increased productivity. It also cultivates employee loyalty. Employees are more likely to feel a sense of loyalty back to the employer because they feel that that is reciprocated by the employer providing the benefits such as the paid family leave that we will be proposing. Okay, so the research shows that employers benefit. So what? We all know that when we make decisions, we often make decisions based on both the logic, maybe based on an informed study, but we also base it off of our feelings. So what do employers say? Well, when preparing our recommendations, we wanted to understand a little bit more about what the employers were actually saying. Well, this is based on a survey in California after California implemented more requirements for paid family leave, paid parental leave. And the survey found that between 89 to 99% of employers responded that the family leave policy had either a neutral effect, that is, that it did not affect them, or that it had a positive effect by increasing productivity, by maximizing profits, and by reducing turnover, which then saves money on, again, those hiring and those training costs. And it also boosted morale among the employees. That brings us to our very own ASU. What are our policy recommendations going to be to ASU regarding paid family leave? Well, ASU actually does have a policy that in its time is competitive and good. At the time that we began this, ASU offered up to 6 weeks of paid parental leave, and this was available for all benefits eligible employees, all staff of the university who were benefits eligible. And the purpose was stated that it was for recovery from childbirth or for parents who are welcoming the birth or adoption of a child. The policy also covered the birth mother, the father, adoptive parents, and domestic partners. And the policy was explicit that it applied to people regardless of gender. And this is something that's very important. And again, I just want to say that this is something that touches home to me because as someone who is married to his same-sex partner, I am glad to know that this is a part of ASU's policy. And so that's something that we wanted to affirm and to continue to encourage. We also have some recommendations for ASU based again on wanting to continue to promote that innovation and that competitive stance that ASU has. Our recommendations were threefold. To extend parental leave from the 6 weeks to 14 weeks, to add surrogacy to the policy, and to offer a childcare stipend or the option of a flexible work schedule to help with childcare and childcare costs. The first recommendation, again, to extend paid parental leave to 14 weeks. In this chart that our team created, you can see that the current ASU policy provides for 6 weeks of paid parental leave. Then you can see where the university averages, as well as competitors like Stanford and MIT. On the bottom, that is where our recommendation is. We recommend that ASU at least base its paid family leave off of the UN recommendation of 14 weeks, and we also included an additional 8 weeks for either a childcare stipend or for the option of a flexible work schedule. Our second recommendation is to add parenthood via surrogacy to the policy. Whether a person is choosing to become a surrogate mother to help another family to have a baby, or they are surrogate parents who are receiving their baby from a surrogate mother, It is really important in this day and age when a family is not based only on those who choose to or who can have a natural biological birth. This day and age should be open to families of all varieties, including those who build their family from surrogacy. And surrogacy is no less draining and requires no less attention than other parents. And so we really believe the ASU should add this to the policy. Our third recommendation. Upon to work, we really encourage ASU and are recommending that ASU implement a policy of choice for a flexible work schedule or for a child care stipend. What we found based on some of the research, including a study in Canada, was that parents who were able to spend more time with their children were more likely to bond well with them and were more likely to perform well at work because of less financial stress revolving around childcare. And so what we are recommending is that ASU adopt a policy that gives parents the choice of 8 weeks of paid stipend of $100 a week. And what this is based off of $187 a week average in Arizona for childcare. And that comes from the total number of childcare a year costing $9,437. And that's information from the Economic Policy Institute. And so that's how we got that number. And that's why we are recommending ASU pay $100 in a stipend. We are also recommending that ASU give the option for a flexible work schedule, also for 8 weeks, for parents who would like to spend time being the child care provider, and so they can work with their manager at ASU or the appropriate person for that flexible work schedule. So what are the benefits of policy change? To reiterate and just to highlight what I've talked about, it is gender equality in the workplace. People are able to return to work sooner, and that's good for the company and the employee. There is increased female representation, and that means that women are having more opportunities, and it also means that employers are able to benefit from doubling the number of people that they can potentially hire. It also increased productivity among all. Employers and employees were being more productive because of the security provided by paid parental leave. In addition to the financial and the research-based arguments that we are making for our recommendations, we also were keenly aware of a moral element, an ethical element to this conversation. Healthy employees and healthy families make for a stronger and a better society for us all, and we do depend on our collective society for our well-being. In doing our reading, we found that the literature supported a linkage between paid family leave and a lower infant mortality rate. And that meant that young children and infants were being cared for and being nurtured and were less likely to die as a result of complications. And again, we found that the research supports the idea that there is less stress among parents when they have this economic security. And that's especially true for new mothers who are less likely to experience postpartum depression. And that's a good reason to implement this policy as well. Finally, I just want to include by saying our last message is that we encourage ASU and others to empower people to take advantage of these opportunities. Too often, employees are worried that there are secret repercussions or that they will be disciplined in some unseen way because they take advantage of having paid or unpaid time off from work. We encourage ASU and all employers to emphasize to their employees that these benefits are there for them because they are a part of that employer's community, and that this empowerment will help to make paid family leave a reality far beyond just ASU. And in that way, ASU can continue to lead the way as one of the top-ranked innovative universities. Thank you for listening to this presentation, and I hope that it was enjoyable. And again, I look forward to your feedback. Thank you so much.